In the heart of the desolate countryside, shrouded in an ever-present fog, stood Briarwood Manor, an edifice of decaying grandeur that had long been abandoned. Locals spoke in hushed tones about the manor, weaving tales of the tragic family that once inhabited its vast halls. They claimed the spirits of the Briarwood family still roamed the premises, bound by the darkness that enveloped them. Sarah, a young woman with a penchant for the macabre, had always been fascinated by the legends of Briarwood. When she learned that a film crew was set to document the manor's haunting, she saw her chance. Despite warnings from superstitious townsfolk, she packed her belongings and set off toward the looming structure, her heart pounding with both fear and excitement. Upon her arrival, Sarah was greeted by the crew, a motley group of filmmakers and paranormal enthusiasts led by a charismatic host named Marcus. The crew was preparing to spend the night at the manor, armed with cameras and ghost hunting equipment. They set up their gear in the grand foyer, its walls lined with portraits of the Briarwood family, their eyes seemingly following Sarah as she moved. As dusk fell, the atmosphere shifted. The air grew thick with a palpable tension, and the creaking of the manor's wooden frame echoed through the silence. They began the first round of investigations, splitting into teams to cover more ground. Sarah partnered with Marcus, eager to explore the upper floors. Climbing the grand staircase, they reached the second floor, where long-abandoned bedrooms awaited them. Each door creaked open to reveal dust-covered furniture, cobwebs draping like veils over forgotten possessions. Sarah's curiosity piqued when she discovered a dusty diary on the bedside table of the master bedroom. The diary belonged to Eliza Briarwood, the last matriarch of the family. Her entries detailed a descent into madness, speaking of a darkness that seeped into their lives, haunting her dreams and whispering secrets that drove her to the brink. "The whispers grow louder," she wrote, "and the shadows dance in the corners of my vision. They are here, and I fear they are coming for me." As Marcus read the entries aloud, the atmosphere grew heavier, the temperature dropping sharply. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the hallway, interrupting them. They rushed out, heart racing, only to find a fallen chandelier, its glass shards glinting ominously in the dim light. "Just an old house settling," Marcus assured her, though his voice held a hint of uncertainty. They returned to their exploration, but the unease lingered like a shadow, gnawing at the edges of their bravery. As night deepened, they regrouped in the foyer, where the crew shared their own unsettling experiences. One member, an avid ghost hunter named Derek, claimed to have captured an orb of light darting through the parlor, a fleeting glimpse of something otherworldly. Another, a sound technician named Lena, recounted hearing faint whispers while recording, her recordings interrupted by an unexplained static. Deciding to conduct a seance to contact the spirits, they gathered in the dining room, dimming the lights to create an atmosphere thick with suspense. Sarah sat at the head of the long, oak table, her heart racing. As they joined hands, Marcus led them in a chant, calling out to the spirits of Briarwood Manor. The room grew cold, and the candles flickered violently as if caught in a tempest. Then, a voice emerged from the darkness, a chilling whisper that sent shivers down Sarah's spine. "Leave, now," Lena screamed, the sound piercing the suffocating silence, and the candles extinguished, plunging them into darkness. Panic ensued as the crew scrambled to relight them, but Sarah remained frozen in place, her mind racing with fear and intrigue. "Did you hear that?" she whispered, but no one answered, their faces pale and wide-eyed. The atmosphere had shifted. The manor felt alive, thrumming with an unseen energy that both terrified and exhilarated her. When the lights finally flickered back to life, they found themselves alone at the table, the air thick with an electric charge. The door to the dining room slammed shut, echoing through the manor like a death knell. Marcus's face turned serious. "We need to stick together," he urged, his bravado cracking under the pressure of their surroundings. "This place is not welcoming." Unnerved but determined, they ventured back into the halls, armed with flashlights and their resolve. As they explored the dimly lit corridors, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Shadows flitted at the edges of her vision, and the whispers grew louder, unintelligible yet hauntingly familiar. They stumbled upon a hidden door behind a faded tapestry, and curiosity overcame their fear. Inside was a small, dust-choked room filled with remnants of the past. Family portraits, old toys, and a tattered rocking chair that creaked softly as if rocked by an unseen presence. Suddenly, a chilling breeze swept through the room, extinguishing their flashlights. The air thickened, and panic set in as they scrambled to find their bearings. In the darkness, Sarah felt a cold hand brush against her shoulder, icy and unyielding. She gasped, turning to see Marcus frozen in place, eyes wide with terror. "What was that?" he stammered, his voice barely a whisper. As if in response, a low growl emanated from the shadows, reverberating through the room like a warning. The rocking chair began to sway, and the whispers transformed into frantic shouts, urging them to flee. "Run!" Sarah shouted, her instincts kicking in. They bolted from the room, the darkness closing in around them. The manor groaned as if angered by their intrusion, and the very walls seemed to shift, closing off their escape routes. They dashed down hallways that twisted like a labyrinth, the sounds of their breaths mingling with the echo of footsteps that were not their own. In their panic, they stumbled into the grand foyer once more, gasping for air, hearts racing. But something had changed. The atmosphere felt heavier, charged with malevolence. The portraits that once adorned the walls now seemed to sneer, their eyes gleaming with a predatory hunger. The very foundation of Briarwood Manor felt alive, an entity watching and waiting. Determined to leave, they moved toward the front door, but it slammed shut before them with a deafening crash. Fear seized them, and they turned back, only to find that the hallway behind them had disappeared, replaced by an endless expanse of darkness. "What is happening?" Lena cried, her voice trembling with fear. "It's playing with us," Marcus said, his bravado shattered. "We need to find another way out." They scoured the manor for a way to escape, every door leading to another corridor that seemed to taunt them. The darkness grew thicker, suffocating, whispering secrets that threatened to pull them under. Suddenly, the whispers intensified, drowning out their panic. Words emerged, distinct yet distorted, calling each of them by name. Sarah, Marcus, Lena, Derek. The voices entwined, weaving tales of despair and anguish that clawed at their sanity. They stumbled into a room lined with mirrors, each reflection twisted and distorted. As they gazed into the glass, they saw not just their reflections but shadowy figures lurking behind them, their faces obscured but eyes burning with a malevolent hunger. In the chaos, Sarah caught a glimpse of her own reflection, but it was not her face staring back. It was Eliza Briarwood, her eyes hollow and filled with sorrow. "Help us?" the apparition whispered, her voice echoing in Sarah's mind. "You must break the curse." With a surge of determination, Sarah turned to the others. "We have to find the source of this darkness. There's something here we need to confront." They made their way deeper into the heart of the manor, the walls closing in on them as they entered a hidden chamber beneath the staircase. The air grew thick with a rancid smell, and they found themselves surrounded by remnants of the past. Old toys, dusty dolls with cracked porcelain faces, and a wall covered in strange symbols that seemed to pulse with dark energy. At the center of the room stood a dusty mirror, its surface clouded yet somehow mesmerizing. Sarah approached it, feeling a pull that was impossible to resist. As she reached out, the whispers grew louder, swirling around her like a storm. "Do not touch it," Derek yelled, but it was too late. Sarah's fingers brushed against the glass, and a jolt of energy surged through her. She felt the weight of the Briarwood family's anguish wash over her, their sorrow, their pain, their desperate cries for help. The mirror cracked, a web of darkness spreading across its surface. In that moment, Sarah understood. The curse was bound to the manor itself, the souls of the Briarwood family trapped within its walls, unable to find peace. "Sarah, pull back," Marcus shouted, but she was entranced, unable to tear herself away. The mirror pulsed with a life of its own, revealing glimpses of the past. the Briarwood family celebrating, laughter echoing through the halls, only to shift to a scene of horror as shadows consumed them. Suddenly, the room shook violently, and the shadows coalesced into a monstrous form, a manifestation of the darkness that had plagued Briarwood Manor for decades. It roared, a sound that reverberated through the walls, a terrifying cacophony that threatened to swallow them whole. "Help us!" Eliza's voice screamed from within the chaos, her form flickering in and out of existence. "You are our only hope." With newfound determination, Sarah faced the darkness. "I won't let you take them," she shouted, drawing on the strength of her resolve. The power of their anguish ignited a fire within her, and she stepped forward, pushing against the mirror's oppressive energy. The room erupted in chaos as the shadows writhed, and the darkness clawed at her, desperate to reclaim its hold. The whispers turned into a roar, a torrent of voices demanding she stop. "Leave this place," Sarah cried, channeling her strength into a single thought, a plea for the Briarwoods to be freed. "You are not alone." With that, a brilliant light erupted from her heart, engulfing the chamber in a blinding radiance. The darkness recoiled, shrieking in fury as the shadows began to dissipate, swirling away like smoke in the wind. The mirror shattered, and in that moment, the room fell silent. The oppressive weight lifted, and the air grew warm, the remnants of anguish fading like echoes of a long-forgotten nightmare. Sarah collapsed to her knees, breathless. The crew gathered around her, their faces a mix of relief and disbelief. The room, once filled with darkness, now shimmered with a soft light. "Did we do it?" Marcus whispered, eyes wide with hope. A gentle breeze swept through the chamber, carrying with it the whispers of gratitude, soft and soothing. The portraits in the manor seemed to smile, their eyes no longer filled with sorrow but with peace. "We set them free," Sarah murmured, her heart swelling with a mixture of triumph and exhaustion. "They can finally rest." As they made their way back through the now quiet halls of Briarwood Manor, the oppressive atmosphere had lifted, replaced by a sense of tranquility. The darkness that had once lurked in the corners was gone, leaving behind a memory of its malevolence. They emerged into the night, the stars twinkling above as if celebrating their victory. The manor, once a haunting reminder of despair, now stood as a testament to the strength of the human spirit, a place where darkness had been confronted and overcome. But as they drove away, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that the manor would never truly be free of its past. The shadows might have receded, but they would always linger, waiting for the next curious soul to uncover their secrets. The crew left Briarwood Manor behind, its silhouette fading into the distance, but Sarah's thoughts remained tangled in the web of the manor's dark history. She felt a pull to return, a nagging curiosity that clawed at her mind. What had truly happened to the Briarwood family? Was the darkness vanquished, or merely lying in wait for another unsuspecting victim? Weeks passed, but Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that the manor was calling her back. She immersed herself in researching the Briarwood family, combing through old newspapers and records, piecing together their tragic tale. Each discovery deepened her obsession. She learned about the family's wealth, their prominence in the town, and the whispers of madness that surrounded them. Eliza Briarwood, once a beloved figure, had succumbed to an unseen darkness, dragging her family into despair. One night, driven by a restless spirit, Sarah gathered her courage and decided to return to Briarwood Manor alone. Armed with a flashlight and her journal, she arrived as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of crimson. The manor loomed before her, imposing and shrouded in mist, its windows dark like empty eyes. As she stepped inside, the familiar chill washed over her. The silence was deafening, yet she felt a presence, as if the manor itself were watching her. She made her way to the grand foyer, where the portraits of the Briarwood family still hung, their expressions hauntingly unreadable. "Hello?" she called out, her voice echoing through the vast emptiness. There was no response, only the sound of her heartbeat drumming in her ears. Determined to uncover more, she retraced her steps to the hidden room beneath the staircase. As she entered, the air felt charged with energy, the remnants of her previous encounter lingering like a half-remembered dream. The symbols on the wall glimmered faintly in her flashlight's beam, pulsing with an otherworldly rhythm. Sarah approached the shattered mirror, its fragments scattered like stars across the floor. In the light, she saw faint reflections of the past swirling in the shards, glimpses of the Briarwood family, their faces twisted in anguish, shadows flitting behind them like wraiths. "Why did you call me back?" she whispered, drawn to the remnants of the mirror. "What do you want?" Suddenly, the temperature dropped, and the shadows coalesced around her. The whispers began again, rising to a fever pitch. "Help us, help us. Please, tell me what to do," Sarah pleaded, her heart racing as she felt the weight of their despair press down on her. Then, in a flash of clarity, she understood. The curse had not been broken, it had merely been postponed. The Briarwoods were still trapped, their souls intertwined with the manor, unable to find peace. The darkness had retreated but was not vanquished. Panic gripped her, but she refused to flee. "I can help you," she shouted into the encroaching shadows. "I need to know how." As if in response, the room began to shift, the walls pulsating with energy. The symbols on the wall glowed brighter, and Sarah felt a force pulling her closer to the mirror shards. One by one, the reflections of the Briarwood family materialized before her, their faces a mixture of sorrow and hope. "Eliza," Sarah called out, recognizing the matriarch. "What can I do to free you?" Eliza's spirit stepped forward, her ethereal form shimmering in the dim light. "You must face the darkness," she said, her voice echoing with urgency. "It is anchored to this place. Only by confronting the source can we be freed." "What is the source?" Sarah asked, her pulse racing as the shadows seemed to writhe with anticipation. Eliza pointed toward a door at the far end of the room, obscured by a heavy curtain. "The heart of the manor holds the truth. You must go there, but be warned. The darkness will do everything to stop you." With resolve, Sarah nodded. She turned toward the door, her heart pounding in her chest. The shadows hissed, swirling around her legs, trying to pull her back. "I won't let you stop me," she shouted defiantly, stepping through the threshold. The room beyond was a small chamber, filled with dust and cobwebs. At the center stood an ancient altar, covered in dark stains that seemed to pulse with malevolence. Symbols carved into the stone glowed faintly, and Sarah felt an oppressive energy pressing against her. As she approached the altar, the shadows coalesced into a massive form, a swirling mass of darkness that took shape before her. It was a grotesque amalgamation of faces, each twisted in agony, eyes burning with hatred. "You dare disturb me?" The darkness roared, its voice a cacophony of whispers. "You think you can break my hold? I will set them free," Sarah declared, her voice steady despite the terror clawing at her insides. "I won't let you keep them any longer." The darkness laughed, a chilling sound that reverberated through the chamber. "They are mine, bound by their own despair, their weakness." Sarah took a deep breath, remembering the strength she had felt when she faced the mirror. "No, they are not weak. They are strong, and together we can overcome you." With that, she placed her hands on the altar, feeling the cold stone pulse beneath her palms. She closed her eyes, focusing on the Briarwood family, their pain, their sorrow, their desperate need for freedom. The shadows writhed violently, lashing out at her, but Sarah pressed on, channeling her energy into the altar. The symbols glowed brighter, illuminating the room with a radiant light that pushed back the encroaching darkness. "Release them!" she screamed, her voice echoing in the chamber. "Let their souls go!" The darkness howled in rage, twisting and contorting as it struggled against her will. But Sarah could feel the strength of the Briarwoods surging through her, their spirits rallying together, their collective power merging with hers. As the light reached its zenith, the darkness began to dissolve, the faces within it melting away like wax under a flame. The whispers turned to screams, a cacophony of despair echoing through the chamber as the shadows fled. In a final surge of energy, Sarah pushed with all her might, and with a blinding flash, the darkness shattered into a million fragments, each dissipating like smoke in the wind. The room fell silent, the oppressive weight lifting as the air grew warm and light flooded in. The altar glowed softly, the symbols etched into its surface now mere remnants of the battle fought. Sarah opened her eyes, breathless, and looked around the chamber. The oppressive energy was gone. Instead, a sense of peace washed over her. "Eliza?" she called, hope blooming in her chest. The figure of Eliza appeared before her, radiant and serene, surrounded by a warm light. "You have freed us," she whispered, tears of gratitude glimmering in her eyes. "Thank you." As Eliza's spirit faded into the light, the air shimmered with energy, and one by one, the other spirits of the Briarwood family emerged, their faces now filled with relief and joy. They joined hands, forming a circle around Sarah, their spirits intertwining as they began to ascend toward the light. In that moment, Sarah felt a rush of warmth and love, a connection to the family that had suffered for so long. "You are free," she whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. As the last remnants of the Briarwood family vanished into the light, Sarah stood alone in the chamber, the shadows no longer a threat. She had confronted the darkness, faced her fears, and emerged victorious. Exhausted but triumphant, Sarah made her way back through the now peaceful halls of Briarwood Manor. The portraits smiled down at her, their eyes no longer filled with sorrow. The air was light, and the oppressive weight that had once plagued the manor was gone. Stepping outside, she breathed in the cool night air, feeling a sense of closure wash over her. Briarwood Manor, once a place of horror and despair, had been transformed. It was now a sanctuary, a testament to the strength of love and the power of confronting one's fears. As Sarah drove away, she looked back at the manor, a smile on her face. The darkness had been vanquished, and the Briarwood family could finally rest. She felt a sense of peace, knowing that she had played a part in their story, and that the whispers of the past would no longer haunt the present. But as she drove down the winding road, a chilling thought crept into her mind. What if the darkness had not been completely eradicated? What if it had merely retreated, waiting for the next opportunity to strike? In the days that followed, Sarah dedicated herself to sharing the story of Briarwood Manor, documenting her experiences in hopes of helping others who might find themselves entangled in the darkness. She spoke of the strength found in facing one's fears, the importance of connection, and the power of love in overcoming despair. Yet, in the quiet moments of her life, she often found herself glancing over her shoulder, half expecting to feel the shadows creep back into her life. The darkness that had once consumed the Briarwood family now loomed in the corners of her mind, a reminder that not all battles are fought and won in a single night. One fateful evening, as Sarah sat in her living room, the wind howled outside, rattling the windows. The storm had come out of nowhere, dark clouds swirling ominously overhead. She wrapped her arms around herself, feeling a chill that had nothing to do with the weather. Suddenly, the lights flickered and went out, plunging her into darkness. Heart racing, she grabbed a flashlight and moved cautiously through her house. Shadows danced on the walls, and the air felt thick with tension. "Just the storm," she reassured herself, though unease settled heavily in her stomach. As she moved to the kitchen, a loud bang echoed from the hallway, sending her heart racing. "Hello?" she called out, but the only response was the howling wind outside. She shone her flashlight toward the hallway, illuminating the darkened space. There, at the edge of the light, she saw a figure, flickering in and out of existence, just as Eliza had. "No, it can't be," Sarah whispered, stepping back, dread pooling in her stomach. The figure shifted, the familiar outline of Eliza materializing before her. But this time, her expression was not one of peace. Instead, it was twisted in anguish, eyes wide with terror. "Sarah!" Eliza's voice pierced the darkness, filled with urgency. "You must help us again. The darkness has returned." Before Sarah could respond, the shadows erupted around her, swirling violently, and the temperature dropped once more. The air grew thick with despair, and she felt an icy grip tighten around her heart. "Why are you here?" Sarah cried out, her voice trembling with fear. "The darkness was only weakened, not destroyed," Eliza explained, her form flickering as if struggling against an unseen force. "It has found a way back, and it seeks vengeance." In that moment, the room exploded with chaos. Shadows twisted and contorted, reaching for Sarah, a cacophony of whispers echoing in her ears. "You cannot escape!" they shrieked, the darkness growing bolder, consuming the light around her. "No, I won't let you take her," Sarah shouted, panic gripping her as she felt the shadows tug at her, pulling her closer to the swirling mass of darkness. With a surge of determination, Sarah focused on Eliza's spirit. "What do I need to do?" she yelled, desperation lacing her voice. "You must confront it where it feeds," Eliza cried, her figure wavering. "It has found a new vessel, and only by confronting the source can we hope to break its hold." Before she could ask more, the darkness surged forward, enveloping Sarah completely. She felt herself being pulled into a vortex, the world around her spinning into chaos. When the whirl of shadows faded, she found herself in an unfamiliar place. A dimly lit room filled with old furniture and heavy curtains. It felt like a dream, but she was alert, aware of the oppressive presence looming in the corners. The air crackled with tension, and Sarah could feel the darkness swirling just beyond her vision, waiting to strike. "Where am I?" she wondered aloud, looking around for any sign of hope. "You are in the heart of its lair," a voice whispered, echoing through the shadows. "You must confront the vessel." As Sarah turned, she caught sight of a figure sitting in the corner, cloaked in darkness. The figure's face was obscured, but she could sense its malevolent energy. It radiated despair, a chilling aura that threatened to engulf her. "Who are you?" she demanded, her voice steadier than she felt. "I am the darkness," it replied, a voice dripping with malice. "I am the despair that has festered in this world, the embodiment of fear and sorrow." Sarah took a deep breath, summoning the courage that had brought her this far. "You won't win. I will stop you." The darkness laughed, a chilling sound that echoed through the chamber. "You think you can stop me? You are but a fleeting whisper in the void. I am eternal." "No," she countered, feeling a fire ignite within her. "You only thrive on fear. I know your weakness." With that, Sarah focused on the memories of the Briarwood family, their pain, their love, their strength. She thought of Eliza, of the sacrifices they had made, and the darkness they had faced together. "I am not alone," she shouted, drawing on the power of their spirits. "I stand with those who have faced you before." The shadows recoiled, a flicker of uncertainty flashing through their depths. Sarah stepped forward, channeling all her strength into a single thought. "I will not let you take anyone else." As she spoke, light began to radiate from her core, a brilliant glow that illuminated the dark chamber. The shadows shrieked, swirling violently around her, but she stood firm, unyielding. "Leave this place," she commanded, her voice resonating with strength. "You have no power here." With that declaration, the darkness surged forward, but Sarah met it with the light emanating from her heart. The two forces collided, a violent explosion of energy that shook the very foundation of the room. The darkness writhed, its form twisting and contorting as it struggled against her light. The figure in the corner screamed, the sound piercing through the chaos. "I will consume you," it howled, but Sarah pressed on, feeling the strength of the Briarwood family surge within her. With one final push, she unleashed the full force of her light, enveloping the darkness in a brilliant radiance. The chamber exploded with energy, the air crackling with power as the darkness was torn apart, dissipating into a million fragments of shadow. As the light faded, Sarah found herself back in her living room, the storm outside still raging. The oppressive presence that had filled the room was gone, replaced by an overwhelming sense of peace. Breathless, she sank to the floor, feeling the warmth of victory wash over her. She had confronted the darkness once more, faced the embodiment of despair, and emerged victorious. But as she sat in the silence, a single thought pierced her mind. Would it ever truly be over? Days turned into weeks as Sarah continued to process her experience. The darkness had been vanquished for now, but its threat loomed in the shadows, a reminder that the battle against fear and despair was ongoing. Determined to protect herself and others, she began hosting workshops and sharing her story, encouraging people to confront their fears and embrace their light. Each session filled her with a sense of purpose, knowing that she was helping others find their strength. Yet, late at night, when the world was quiet, she often felt the chill of the darkness creeping in. It was a reminder that it was always there, lurking just out of sight. One fateful night, while preparing for another workshop, she received an email that sent chills down her spine. The subject line read, "Briarwood Manor." Opening the email, she found a message from a group of paranormal investigators planning a return to the manor. They wanted her to join them, believing she held the key to understanding the darkness that still lingered. Conflicted, Sarah weighed her options. She knew the risks of returning, the danger that still lurked in the shadows, but she also felt a pull to help others, to face the darkness once more. In the end, curiosity and a sense of duty compelled her to accept the invitation. She prepared herself mentally and emotionally, recalling the strength of the Briarwood family and the love that had transcended the darkness. As the day of the investigation approached, Sarah felt a sense of foreboding mixed with anticipation. She gathered her supplies, flashlights, cameras, and her journal, and steeled herself for what lay ahead. When she arrived at Briarwood Manor, the air felt heavy with anticipation. The investigators, a diverse group of passionate individuals, greeted her with excitement and nerves. They shared their own experiences with the supernatural, each eager to unravel the secrets of the manor. As they entered the grand foyer, Sarah felt the weight of history pressing down on her. The shadows flickered at the edges of her vision, whispering softly, beckoning her deeper into the manor. "Are you ready?" one of the investigators asked, their voice laced with eagerness. "I am," Sarah replied, determination washing over her. They began their exploration, moving from room to room, documenting their findings and setting up equipment to capture any signs of paranormal activity. The atmosphere crackled with energy, a mix of excitement and trepidation. As night fell, they gathered in the main parlor, the dim light casting long shadows across the room. The investigators reviewed their footage, hoping to catch a glimpse of the manor's secrets. Then, without warning, the temperature plummeted, and the lights flickered ominously. A sense of dread settled over the group as the shadows thickened, swirling in the corners of the room. "Did you feel that?" one investigator whispered, eyes wide with fear. "Yes," Sarah replied, her pulse quickening. "It's here." The shadows began to shift, coalescing into a dark figure that loomed before them. Panic surged through the group as the air filled with a cacophony of whispers, echoing the anguish of the Briarwood family. "You should not have come here," the darkness roared, its voice a chilling blend of rage and sorrow. "You disturb my rest." Sarah felt a familiar fire ignite within her, the strength of the Briarwood family surging through her veins. "We are here to help you," she shouted, stepping forward, unafraid. "You don't have to suffer alone." The darkness hesitated, swirling uncertainly as the whispers grew louder. "Help? There is no help for me." "Yes, there is," Sarah insisted, her voice unwavering. "You don't have to be bound by your pain. Together, we can find peace." With those words, the shadows writhed, a mix of anger and confusion. The other investigators watched in awe and horror as Sarah stood her ground, channeling the strength of the Briarwoods. "Join me," she cried, reaching out toward the darkness. "Let us confront the pain together." In that moment, a flicker of light pierced through the shadows, illuminating the room. Sarah felt the spirits of the Briarwood family rally around her, their presence a beacon of hope. The darkness howled in rage, but Sarah pressed on. "You are not alone. We are here with you." As the light grew brighter, the figure in the shadows began to shift, revealing the anguished face of Eliza Briarwood, her expression torn between fear and longing. "Help us," she whispered, her voice barely audible above the chaos. Sarah felt a rush of determination. "I will not let you be trapped any longer." With that, she channeled all her energy into the light, pushing back against the encroaching darkness. The room shook as the forces collided, a battle of wills that sent tremors through the very foundation of Briarwood Manor. The darkness screamed, a sound that pierced the air, filled with centuries of pain and sorrow. "You cannot defeat me. I am eternal." But Sarah stood firm, her heart filled with love and resolve. "I will not let you take anyone else. Together, we can break this cycle." With one final surge of energy, she unleashed the full force of her light, enveloping the darkness in a radiant glow. The room erupted with a brilliant explosion of energy, the shadows tearing apart as the light consumed them. As the darkness shattered, Sarah felt a wave of relief wash over her. The Briarwood spirits emerged, radiant and free, their faces filled with gratitude. "Thank you," Eliza said, her voice clear and strong. "You have freed us at last." As the spirits ascended into the light, Sarah felt a sense of closure wash over her. The darkness had been vanquished, and the Briarwood family could finally rest. But as she stood in the aftermath, she realized that the battle against despair was not over. The shadows would always linger, but so too would the light of love and connection. In the days that followed, Sarah continued her work, sharing her experiences with others and encouraging them to confront their fears. She knew that the darkness would always be a part of her story, but so would the light. And as she looked back on her journey, she realized that the true power lay not in defeating the darkness, but in embracing the light that resides within each of us, a light that can guide us through even the darkest of times. As Sarah resumed her workshops and shared her journey, word of her experiences at Briarwood Manor spread like wildfire through the community. People came from all walks of life, drawn by her courage and the hope she radiated. Each session became a beacon for those haunted by their pasts, eager to learn how to confront their own shadows. However, as she dedicated herself to helping others, the memories of her experiences began to haunt her again. Despite the victory against the darkness, the chilling whispers occasionally slipped through her resolve, reminding her that the shadows could return. Every night, as she prepared for bed, the cold breeze that slithered through her window brought with it the lingering scent of damp earth and decay, a scent she associated with the Briarwood family's tragic past. One evening, after a particularly moving workshop, Sarah found herself unable to shake the feeling that the darkness was still lurking just out of sight. She sat at her desk, fingers hovering above the keys of her laptop, staring at the blank screen. She was determined to put her experiences into words, but the fear of the darkness creeping back into her life paralyzed her. In a moment of frustration, she slammed her laptop shut, the sound reverberating through the quiet of her home. "Enough!" she yelled into the silence. "You can't keep doing this to me." But instead of the solitude she craved, the shadows around her began to shift, pulsating with energy. A sudden chill enveloped the room, and Sarah felt the hairs on her arms stand on end. She stood up, heart racing, scanning the dimly lit corners of her living room. Then, the unmistakable sound of whispers echoed around her, filling the air with a cacophony of voices. "Help us! Help us!" They were frantic, merging into one another, creating a haunting symphony that clawed at her sanity. "Stop it!" Sarah shouted, her voice filled with defiance. "I've helped you. What more do you want?" As if in response, the shadows in her living room coalesced, forming into a figure. A girl no older than 10, with sunken eyes and a pale face twisted in anguish. "We are lost," the girl's voice trembled, "and we cannot find peace." "No, you were freed," Sarah cried, stepping back. "I helped you. You're free." The girl's eyes flickered, revealing a flash of recognition. "You helped Eliza, but we remain. We are trapped in the darkness you did not see." Confusion gripped Sarah's heart. "What do you mean? Who are you?" We are the forgotten, the ones who suffered before you came, the girl whispered, her voice cracking. Our cries were lost among the shadows. We were never released. Sarah felt a wave of guilt wash over her. I didn't know, she said softly, her heart aching for the unseen spirits who remained trapped in the manor's past. What do you need from me? Help us find the light? The girl implored, extending a trembling hand. Help us escape the darkness. With a renewed sense of purpose, Sarah took a deep breath. I will help you, I promise. Determined to uncover the truth behind the darkness, Sarah reached out to the paranormal investigators from her previous visit to Briarwood Manor. After a few days of organizing, they agreed to meet once again, intrigued by the possibility of uncovering deeper layers of the haunting. On the day of the investigation, the air felt heavy with anticipation as they arrived at Briarwood Manor. The group set up equipment in the main parlor, cameras pointing toward the corners of the room where shadows seemed to gather ominously. As night fell, the atmosphere thickened with tension, the air crackling with energy. Sarah felt the presence of the little girl beside her, a ghostly figure waiting for her to take action. She could sense the other spirits lingering, trapped in a limbo between despair and hope. Are you ready? One investigator asked, their voice a mix of excitement and trepidation. I am, Sarah replied, feeling the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. She was determined to uncover the hidden stories of those still suffering in the darkness. They began the investigation, conducting EVP sessions and using various devices to capture any signs of paranormal activity. The atmosphere grew increasingly tense, and Sarah could feel the weight of the spirit's sorrow pressing down on her. As the hours wore on, they collected snippets of voices on their recordings. Faint whispers, cries for help, and anguished pleas echoing through the empty halls. Each capture intensified Sarah's resolve, pushing her to dig deeper into the manor's past. Suddenly, the temperature plummeted, and a shadowy figure emerged at the edge of the light, coalescing into the shape of a young boy, tears streaming down his pale cheeks. Please, help us, he begged, his voice barely a whisper. Sarah stepped forward, her heart racing. What do you need? She asked gently. We were forgotten, he said, trembling. No one remembers us, but we can't leave this place until our story is told. In that moment, realization struck Sarah like a bolt of lightning. The Briarwood family was not the only tragic tale hidden within these walls. There were others, innocent souls bound by their pain, seeking acknowledgement and release. I will tell your story, she promised, her voice resolute. I will make sure you are not forgotten. The boy's eyes brightened, hope flickering in their depths. Thank you, he whispered, and as he spoke, the shadows around him began to thin, the air shimmering with a newfound light. As Sarah gathered her thoughts, she felt the surge of energy from the spirits, their presence growing stronger. We need to connect with their memories, she told the group, urgency ringing in her voice. We need to find out what happened to them. The investigators agreed, and together they delved into the history of Briarwood Manor, scouring through old records and family archives. They discovered tales of tragedy, a family torn apart by greed, the ghostly children who had perished in a fire that consumed the west wing of the manor, and the pain that lingered long after their passing. With each revelation, Sarah felt a deepening connection to the spirits, their anguish resonating within her. She made it her mission to honor their memories and ensure that their stories were told. As the investigation progressed, the shadows around them began to shift, swirling with energy as the spirits of the forgotten children emerged, their faces filled with hope and sorrow. We were never meant to be lost, one girl said, her voice filled with emotion. Help us remember. Tell us your names, Sarah urged, her heart pounding with determination. I'm Lucy, said the girl, her eyes shimmering with tears. And this is my brother, Thomas. We lived here before the fire. Sarah felt a rush of compassion wash over her. Lucy, Thomas, I will tell your story. I promise. With the investigators' help, they set up a séance, a way to connect with the spirits and allow them to share their stories directly. The atmosphere crackled with energy as they formed a circle, Sarah holding hands with the investigators while the spirits hovered nearby, their presence palpable. "Can you hear us?" she asked, her voice steady. "We want to hear your stories. We want to help you find peace." A chill swept through the room, and Lucy's voice broke through the stillness. "We were playing. We didn't know the fire was coming." Thomas chimed in, his voice trembling. "We were trapped. We couldn't find our way out." Tears streamed down Sarah's face as she listened to their heart-wrenching tales of fear and loss. "You are not forgotten," she promised, feeling the weight of their pain. "I will make sure everyone knows your names, that your stories are told." As they spoke, the shadows around them began to dissipate, revealing flickers of light illuminating the room. The spirits were finally being acknowledged, their stories coming to life in the hearts of those who listened. Hours passed as they shared the children's memories, the pain and joy interwoven in their lives. Each story added to the light, lifting the weight of despair that had shrouded Briarwood Manor for so long. Finally, as dawn approached, the room filled with a warm glow, and the spirits of the children stood before Sarah, their expressions transformed from anguish to peace. "Thank you," Lucy said, her voice brightening. "We can finally rest." As they began to fade into the light, Sarah felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The shadows had not only been acknowledged, but they had also been transformed into a legacy of love and remembrance. "I won't forget you," she whispered, tears of gratitude streaming down her cheeks. "You will always be remembered." With that, the spirits vanished, leaving behind a lingering warmth that filled the room. The air felt lighter, the oppressive weight of sorrow lifted as the first rays of sunlight streamed through the windows. The investigators, equally moved by the experience, gathered around Sarah, a sense of camaraderie forming among them. They shared stories of their own, the impact of the night's events igniting a shared passion for honoring those lost to the shadows. As they left Briarwood Manor, Sarah felt a newfound strength within her. The darkness would always be a part of her story, but it was now intertwined with the light of hope and remembrance. She was no longer merely a vessel for the spirits. She was their advocate, a beacon guiding others through the darkness. In the weeks that followed, Sarah dedicated herself to documenting the stories of the Briarwood family and the forgotten children. She poured her heart into her writing, ensuring that each tale was told with the respect and love it deserved. As she published her book, word of her work spread, capturing the attention of the community and beyond. Readers were captivated by the haunting tales of Briarwood Manor, the intertwining histories of those who had suffered and those who had triumphed over the darkness. But even as the light of her writing shone brightly, Sarah knew that the shadows would always lurk at the edges of her consciousness, reminding her of the fragility of hope and the constant battle between light and darkness. One evening, as she sat at her desk, she received a message from a reader, a mother who had lost her own child to tragedy. The mother shared how her own pain mirrored the stories of the spirits, how the light that Sarah had brought into the world had given her hope. Tears filled Sarah's eyes as she read the heartfelt message, a reminder of why she had embarked on this journey in the first place. "Your story matters," she whispered to herself, clutching the letter tightly. "Every story matters." It was then that she made the decision to establish a foundation, dedicated to helping others who had lost loved ones. The foundation would serve as a safe haven for those grappling with grief, a place where they could share their stories, connect with one another, and find solace in the light of shared experiences. The Briarwood Foundation for Hope and Remembrance was born, its mission rooted in love and compassion. Sarah organized workshops, support groups, and outreach programs, inviting people from all walks of life to share their stories and find healing through connection. As the foundation grew, so did Sarah's understanding of the complexities of grief. She encountered countless individuals who had been touched by darkness, each with their own unique struggles and triumphs. She became a guiding light for those lost in their pain, helping them navigate the shadows and find their way back to the light. Through her work, Sarah learned that healing was not linear. It was a winding path filled with peaks and valleys, moments of joy intertwined with waves of sorrow. But amidst it all, the power of connection remained a constant source of strength. One evening, while leading a workshop at the foundation, Sarah found herself sharing the story of Lucy and Thomas. As she spoke their names, the room grew quiet, the air charged with emotion. Lucy and Thomas taught me that it's okay to remember our pain, to honor those we've lost, she said, her voice steady. But they also showed me the power of love and remembrance, how sharing our stories can illuminate even the darkest of paths. As she spoke, she felt a familiar presence surrounding her. The warmth of the spirits, their love enveloping her like a gentle embrace. The room seemed to glow, and she knew they were there, watching over her, grateful for the light she had brought into the world. In that moment, she understood that the battle against darkness was not a solitary fight. The light she had cultivated within herself was now a beacon for others, guiding them toward hope and healing. As the years passed, the Briarwood Foundation flourished, touching countless lives and fostering a community of support and love. Sarah continued to share her story, speaking at events and conferences, her voice echoing the legacy of the spirits who had guided her on her journey. Yet, even in the midst of her success, Sarah remained grounded in her purpose. The shadows would always linger, but she had learned to embrace them, to find strength in the duality of light and darkness. On the anniversary of the founding of the Briarwood Foundation, Sarah stood before a crowd of supporters, their faces illuminated by the warm glow of candlelight. Tonight, we gather not just to remember our loved ones, but to celebrate the power of connection and the resilience of the human spirit, she said, her voice unwavering. As she spoke, she could feel the spirits of Lucy, Thomas, and the Briarwood family surrounding her, their love radiating through the room. We are not alone in our grief. We carry the stories of those we've lost within us, and together, we can illuminate the darkest corners of our hearts. The crowd erupted in applause, their voices merging in a powerful chorus of hope. Sarah smiled, knowing that her journey was far from over. The shadows would always be a part of her story, but so too would the light, a light that could never be extinguished. In the heart of Briarwood Manor, where the darkness once reigned supreme, love and remembrance flourished, illuminating the path for all those who dared to confront their fears and embrace the beauty of life amidst the shadows. And as Sarah continued to share her journey, she understood that every story mattered. Each tale of pain, love, and redemption contributed to the intricate tapestry of existence, weaving a legacy of hope that would endure long after the darkness faded away. As Sarah continued her work with the Briarwood Foundation, she found herself often reflecting on the journey that had brought her to this point. Each story she had encountered, each spirit she had helped release, had woven together into a tapestry of resilience and connection. However, even in the glow of her successes, a sense of unease began to creep back into her life, manifesting as unsettling dreams that haunted her nights. These dreams took her back to Briarwood Manor, plunging her into darkness, where echoes of anguish reverberated through the halls. In these dreams, she saw fleeting glimpses of shadows lurking just beyond the corners of her vision, whispers calling her name, taunting her with reminders of the pain she had helped heal. One night, as she awoke in a cold sweat, she felt a weight on her chest. The room was still, the air thick with tension, and she couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. She sat up, glancing around, but the familiar comfort of her home offered little reassurance. Determined to confront her fears head-on, Sarah decided it was time to return to Briarwood Manor. She needed to reconnect with the spirits, to understand why they were resurfacing in her dreams. She believed that there was still more to uncover, more stories waiting to be told. The following weekend, Sarah gathered a small group of trusted colleagues from the foundation. Each had been touched by their experiences at Briarwood Manor, and she felt a deep bond with them. "I'm feeling drawn back to the manor," she explained. "I think there are still spirits there that need our help." They agreed to accompany her, eager to delve deeper into the mysteries that surrounded Briarwood Manor. As they approached the estate, the overgrown hedges and weathered facade greeted them, an eerie beauty shrouded in silence. The air felt charged, as if the manor itself was holding its breath in anticipation of their return. Inside, the atmosphere was thick with memories. Sarah led the group through the familiar rooms, recounting the tales of the Briarwood family and the children they had helped free. They set up equipment in the main parlor, feeling the weight of the past pressing down on them. As dusk fell, the manor transformed. Shadows danced along the walls, and the once comforting silence morphed into a cacophony of whispers. Sarah felt a shiver run down her spine, her heart racing with a mix of excitement and trepidation. "Are you ready?" one of her colleagues asked, their voice barely above a whisper. "Yes," Sarah replied, though uncertainty gnawed at her. "We need to listen." They began the investigation with an EVP session, asking questions that hung in the air, waiting to be answered. With each inquiry, the tension in the room intensified. Shadows flickered in the corners of their vision, and the whispers grew louder, coalescing into an unsettling chorus. Suddenly, one of the devices crackled to life, capturing a voice that sent chills down Sarah's spine. "Help us! We are forgotten." The room went cold as Sarah recognized the voice, the haunting echo of a child she had never encountered before. "Who are you?" she called out, her voice steady yet filled with emotion. "Anna," the voice replied, a soft whimper breaking through the static. "We are lost. We can't find the light." Sarah's heart sank as she realized the magnitude of what lay before her. Anna's spirit was trapped, caught between the shadows of her suffering and the light she so desperately sought. "You're not forgotten," she assured Anna. "We're here to help you find peace." As the team continued to communicate with Anna, they uncovered fragments of her tragic story. Her family had succumbed to despair after losing her, their grief chaining her spirit to the very manor she had once called home. "We didn't mean to leave you behind," Anna cried, her voice breaking. "We thought you would come back for us." Sarah felt a surge of compassion. "You are not alone anymore," she said firmly. "We will tell your story, and we will help you find the light." With every question they posed, Anna's voice grew stronger, but the shadows around them thickened, swirling with anger and despair. "No, you cannot take her," a deeper voice bellowed, reverberating through the parlor, sending a wave of fear coursing through Sarah and her colleagues. "Who are you?" Sarah demanded, her heart pounding in her chest. "I am the guardian of this darkness," the voice growled, a shadowy figure manifesting at the edge of the room. "You cannot save her." Fear clawed at Sarah's resolve, but she refused to back down. "I won't let you keep her. Anna deserves to be free." As the confrontation escalated, the shadows lunged forward, threatening to engulf the group in their suffocating grip. Sarah felt a surge of energy flow through her, fueled by the determination to save Anna. "Stand with me," she called out to her colleagues, urging them to focus their energy on the light they had cultivated. Together, they formed a circle, channeling their strength toward the figure of Anna. The air crackled with tension, the clash between light and darkness swirling around them. "We are stronger together," Sarah shouted, her voice ringing with conviction. The dark figure howled in rage, a chilling sound that shook the very foundation of the manor. "You cannot defeat me. I will consume all of you." But Sarah held her ground, refusing to let fear take hold. "Anna, we are here for you. You are not alone." As the group focused their energy, a bright light began to emanate from Sarah, pushing back against the darkness. The shadows writhed, their anger palpable as they fought against the encroaching light. "Remember your joy," Sarah urged Anna, willing the little girl to recall the moments that had filled her with happiness. "Focus on the love you shared with your family." With each word, the darkness began to retreat, the figure of Anna emerging from the shadows, her face illuminated by the growing light. I remember playing in the garden," Anna whispered, her voice breaking through the chaos. "Let the light guide you," Sarah encouraged, her heart swelling with hope. "You are worthy of love, Anna." In that moment, a breakthrough occurred. The dark figure faltered, a flicker of fear crossing its shadowy visage. Anna's spirit surged forward, breaking free from the chains that had held her captive for so long. The light exploded around them, a brilliant radiance that shattered the shadows, sending the dark figure howling into the abyss. Sarah felt the energy of the room shift, the oppressive weight of despair lifting as Anna's spirit ascended into the light. "Thank you," Anna called out, her voice filled with joy. "I'm free." As the shadows receded, the air lightened, filling the room with a sense of peace. Sarah collapsed to her knees, breathless, her colleagues surrounding her in a circle of support. "We did it," one of them whispered, awe evident in their eyes. But just as relief began to settle, a chilling realization washed over Sarah. The darkness had been powerful, a force that thrived on despair and fear. While they had freed Anna, it was clear that other spirits remained trapped, their stories still waiting to be uncovered. "We need to continue our work," she said, voice steadying as she stood. "There are more spirits out there who need our help. We can't stop now." Her colleagues nodded in agreement, their resolve strengthened by the bond they had formed through their shared experience. Together, they would carry the light of hope into the depths of despair, helping those who felt lost to find their way back home. As they left Briarwood Manor, the sun rose on the horizon, illuminating the path ahead. Each step forward felt lighter, the shadows receding further into the past. Sarah knew the journey would not be easy. Darkness would always lurk in the corners of her mind, whispering reminders of pain. Yet, she also knew the power of love and connection, the light that could guide them through the darkest of times. In the months that followed, Sarah and her colleagues delved deeper into the histories of Briarwood Manor and the surrounding area, researching the lives of those who had been forgotten. Each story they uncovered brought new revelations, illuminating the paths that had led the spirits to their tragic ends. They organized community events to share their findings, inviting local residents to contribute their knowledge and memories. As they unraveled the layers of history, the foundation grew stronger, becoming a pillar of support for those struggling with grief and loss. One day, as they prepared for an event to honor the forgotten, Sarah received an unexpected visitor, a woman named Eliza, claiming to be a descendant of the Briarwood family. She had heard of Sarah's work and wanted to learn more about her family's history. As they spoke, Eliza revealed her own connection to the manor's past. "I've always felt a pull toward Briarwood," she confessed, her eyes reflecting a mixture of curiosity and trepidation. "I've heard stories of my ancestors, but there's so much that remains a mystery." Sarah could sense the weight of the past in Eliza's voice and invited her to join their upcoming event. "We're honoring the spirits who suffered here, and I believe your family's story is an important part of that legacy." Eliza agreed, her heart swelling with gratitude. "Thank you for doing this. It means so much to me." On the day of the event, the community gathered at Briarwood Manor, the atmosphere charged with anticipation. Sarah welcomed everyone warmly, sharing the stories of the spirits they had encountered and the importance of remembrance. Eliza stood at her side, ready to share her family's connection to the manor. As Eliza spoke, recounting tales of love, loss, and resilience, the audience hung on her every word. "My family has endured so much, but I believe that by telling our stories, we can find healing," she said, her voice strong yet tender. Moved by her words, Sarah felt the familiar warmth of the spirits surrounding her once more. The air felt electric, filled with a sense of unity as the community came together to honor those who had come before. Suddenly, a gust of wind swept through the open windows, causing the candles to flicker and dance. The temperature dropped, and whispers echoed through the room. Sarah's heart raced as she sensed the spirit's presence, a reminder that their stories were far from over. "Thank you for remembering us," a voice whispered, sending shivers down her spine. "We are here with you." The crowd fell silent, awestruck by the sudden shift in energy. Eliza looked at Sarah, her eyes wide with wonder. "Do you feel that?" "Yes," Sarah replied, her heart swelling with hope. "They are here, guiding us." In that moment, Sarah realized that the work of the Briarwood Foundation was not just about helping the living. It was also about honoring the spirits, giving them a voice when they had long been silenced. The event continued, stories shared, tears shed, and laughter echoed through the halls of Briarwood Manor. The darkness that had once consumed the estate began to lift, replaced by a palpable sense of hope and connection. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the manor. Sarah stood outside with Eliza, taking a moment to reflect on the day's events. "This is just the beginning," she said, determination filling her voice. "We have so much work ahead of us." Eliza nodded, a spark of excitement in her eyes. "Together, we can shine a light on the forgotten. We can ensure their stories are never lost again." With renewed purpose, they returned inside, ready to continue their mission. As they gathered around the table, discussing plans for future events and outreach, Sarah felt the presence of the spirits surrounding them, their love infusing the room with warmth. Together, they would illuminate the darkness, honoring the past while forging a brighter future. The shadows may linger, but the light they cultivated would shine brighter than ever, guiding those lost in despair back toward hope. In the heart of Briarwood Manor, a new chapter began, one filled with love, remembrance, and the power of connection. The spirits would no longer be forgotten. Their stories would echo through the halls, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. And as Sarah continued her journey, she knew that every step forward brought them closer to healing, not just for themselves, but for all those who had ever felt lost in the shadows. Each story mattered, each voice a vital thread woven into the tapestry of life, a legacy that would endure long after the darkness faded away. In the quiet moments, when the shadows threatened to resurface, Sarah would remind herself of the light she had helped cultivate, the connections she had forged, and the love that had become her guiding force. The journey ahead would not be without its challenges, but together, they would illuminate the path toward healing, hope, and remembrance. As they prepared to leave Briarwood Manor that evening, Sarah turned back for one last look, feeling a surge of gratitude for the journey that had brought her to this point. She could sense the spirits watching over her, their love a comforting embrace. "Thank you for trusting us," she whispered into the stillness, knowing that their work would continue, intertwining the stories of the living and the dead into a legacy of light and love. And with that, she stepped into the future, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that together they would shine brightly against the encroaching darkness. As the months passed, the Briarwood Foundation continued to grow, gaining recognition and support from the community. Sarah, Eliza, and their colleagues worked tirelessly to raise awareness about the Foundation's mission, organizing events and outreach programs to honor the spirits of Briarwood Manor and help those grappling with grief. Sarah had become a sought-after speaker, sharing her experiences and insights at various conferences and community gatherings. Her message resonated with many, igniting a spark of hope in those who had experienced loss. One evening, after a particularly moving presentation, a woman approached Sarah, tears glistening in her eyes. "Your story gave me the strength to confront my own pain," she said, her voice trembling. "I lost my daughter last year, and I've been struggling to find a way to heal." Sarah placed a comforting hand on the woman's shoulder. "I'm so sorry for your loss. Sharing your story is a powerful step toward healing. You are not alone in this journey." Inspired by these encounters, Sarah decided to establish a support group within the foundation, dedicated to helping individuals navigate their grief and find solace in shared experiences. The group met weekly at Briarwood Manor, creating a safe space where people could openly express their feelings and connect with others who understood their struggles. During one session, a young man named Jake shared his story of loss. "My sister died in a car accident last year," he confessed, his voice heavy with emotion. "I feel so lost without her. It's like a piece of me is missing." The group listened intently, offering words of encouragement and support. Sarah could see the pain etched on Jake's face, and she felt a deep compassion for him. "It's okay to feel lost," she said gently. "Grief is a journey, and it's different for everyone. Together, we can find a way through the darkness." As the weeks turned into months, the support group grew, drawing in individuals from various backgrounds and walks of life. Each meeting was filled with shared stories of love and loss, laughter and tears, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. One evening, as they sat in a circle, Sarah noticed a shift in the atmosphere. The air grew heavy, charged with an energy she couldn't quite place. She felt the familiar presence of the spirits, their warmth enveloping the room. Suddenly, a voice broke through the silence, a soft, childlike giggle that sent a shiver down Sarah's spine. "Help us! Remember us!" The room fell silent as everyone exchanged glances, uncertainty filling the air. Sarah's heart raced. "Who are you?" she called out, her voice steady despite the unease creeping in. "We are the forgotten," the voice replied, clearer now. "We are waiting to be heard." "Tell us your stories," Sarah urged, sensing the urgency in their words. "We're here to listen." As if in response, the shadows in the room began to shift, coalescing into ethereal figures. Children, their faces filled with longing and sorrow. Sarah recognized them from her dreams, their eyes pleading for help. Jake gasped, his eyes widening as he pointed toward the figures. "I can see them," he exclaimed, his voice a mixture of fear and wonder. Sarah nodded, her heart racing. "They need us. Let's focus our energy on them." The group held hands, channeling their collective strength toward the spirits. "We're here for you," Sarah said, her voice unwavering. "You are not alone. We will remember you." As they focused, the room filled with warmth, the figures of the children slowly taking form. Each child had a story etched into their expressions, tales of lost dreams and forgotten lives. One of the girls, with hair like spun gold, stepped forward. "I'm Lily," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "I want to go home." "Where is home?" Sarah asked, her heart aching for the little girl. "The garden," Lily replied, her eyes shimmering with tears. "It was my favorite place." As she spoke, memories flooded Sarah's mind. The garden outside Briarwood Manor, once filled with laughter and sunlight, now overgrown and neglected. "We can take you there," she promised, determination igniting within her. "We will honor your memory." With newfound purpose, the group decided to revitalize the garden, transforming it into a sanctuary for the spirits of Briarwood Manor. They gathered supplies, planting flowers and clearing away the weeds, working tirelessly to restore the space where laughter had once flourished. As they toiled under the sun, Sarah felt the spirits around them, their energy lifting their spirits as they worked. The garden began to bloom, vibrant colors bursting forth from the earth, a testament to the love and memories that had been woven into the fabric of the manor. One afternoon, as they admired their progress, Jake approached Sarah, a thoughtful expression on his face. "Do you think the spirits will finally find peace here?" he asked, hope flickering in his eyes. "I believe they will," Sarah replied, her heart swelling with conviction. "We're creating a space for them to be remembered, a place where their stories can live on." Days turned into weeks, and the garden blossomed into a haven of beauty, drawing visitors from the community who were eager to witness the transformation. On the day of the grand unveiling, a sense of excitement buzzed in the air as people gathered around the garden, ready to celebrate the spirits who had inspired their work. As Sarah stood at the forefront of the crowd, she could feel the spirits surrounding her, their energy radiating through the air. Eliza stood beside her, a proud smile on her face. "You've done an incredible job, Sarah," she said, her voice filled with admiration. "Thank you, but it was all of us," Sarah replied, gesturing to the crowd. "This is a testament to the power of love and connection." With a deep breath, Sarah stepped forward, addressing the gathering. "Today, we honor the spirits of Briarwood Manor, the forgotten, the lost, and those who have suffered. This garden is a place of remembrance, a sanctuary for their stories to be told." As she spoke, she felt a warm breeze enveloping her, the spirits whispering their gratitude. "You are not alone," she continued, her voice steady. "We are here to remember you, to celebrate your lives and the love that continues to shine through the darkness." With that, Sarah led the crowd in a moment of silence, allowing the spirits to be honored in their own way. The air was thick with emotion, and Sarah could sense the shift, the heaviness that had once filled Briarwood Manor lifting, replaced by a profound sense of peace. As the unveiling concluded, the crowd dispersed, leaving Sarah and her colleagues in the garden, basking in the sunlight. Eliza turned to Sarah, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "We've created something beautiful here." "Yes, we have," Sarah replied, her heart full. "And this is just the beginning." In the weeks that followed, the garden became a beloved community gathering space, hosting events, workshops, and moments of reflection. People came to share their stories, to honor their loved ones, and to connect with the spirits that lingered in the air. Sarah found herself drawn back to the garden time and again, feeling the spirit's presence guiding her as she continued her work. Each time she returned, she sensed the energy shifting, the shadows receding further into the background. One afternoon, while tending to the flowers, Sarah noticed a group of children playing in the garden, their laughter ringing through the air. She watched them, a smile spreading across her face as she felt the spirit's joy radiating around her. In that moment, she realized that the garden had become a bridge, a connection between the living and the spirits, a space where stories could flourish and memories could be cherished. It was a reminder that love never truly dies. It lives on in the hearts of those who remember. As the seasons changed, so too did the garden, evolving with each passing day. It became a symbol of hope, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, and a sanctuary for those navigating their grief. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Sarah gathered with her colleagues to reflect on their journey. "We've accomplished so much," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "But we still have more stories to tell, more spirits to honor." Eliza nodded, her eyes shining with determination. "Let's keep the momentum going. We can expand our outreach, create more opportunities for healing." They brainstormed ideas, each one building on the last, their excitement palpable. Sarah felt a surge of inspiration, knowing that they were not just telling stories. They were weaving a tapestry of hope that would continue to grow. As they discussed plans, Sarah felt the presence of the spirits, their energy intertwining with their words, urging them onward. "We're not alone in this," she reminded them. "The spirits are with us, guiding us every step of the way." The following week, they launched a new initiative, Storytelling Saturdays, an event dedicated to sharing stories of loss, love, and healing. Community members were invited to come together, to share their experiences and connect with one another in a supportive environment. The first Storytelling Saturday was met with enthusiasm, drawing in a diverse group of individuals. As people began to share their stories, Sarah felt the atmosphere shift, a wave of emotion washing over the room. Each tale was a thread woven into the fabric of the community, creating a tapestry of shared experiences. One woman stood to speak, her voice trembling with vulnerability. "I lost my mother last year," she said, tears brimming in her eyes. "I thought I would never find a way to heal, but being here reminds me that I'm not alone." The room fell silent, the weight of her words hanging in the air. "Thank you for sharing," Sarah said softly, her heart aching for the woman. "Your story matters, and we are here for you." As the evening progressed, more stories were shared, each one a testament to the power of connection and the healing that comes from vulnerability. Sarah felt the spirits around her, their energy intertwining with the stories, filling the room with warmth and love. By the end of the night, the group had forged bonds that would last long after the stories had been told. They stood together, a circle of support, united by their shared experiences. Sarah realized that this was the true essence of the Briarwood Foundation, to create spaces for connection, to honor the spirits, and to remind each other that they were never alone in their journeys. As the weeks turned into months, Storytelling Saturdays became a cherished tradition within the community, bringing people together to celebrate life and honor those who had passed. Sarah felt a deep sense of fulfillment as she watched the garden flourish, not just with flowers but with stories, laughter, and love. The spirits of Briarwood Manor were no longer lost. They had found their place among the living, their stories intertwining with the lives of those who remained. One evening, as the sun set behind the manor, casting a warm glow over the garden, Sarah sat on a bench, reflecting on the journey that had brought her here. She felt a profound sense of gratitude for the spirits, the community, and the love that had blossomed in the wake of loss. Just then, She noticed a flicker of movement out of the corner of her eye. A figure stood at the edge of the garden. A small child with golden hair. Lily. "Thank you for helping us remember," the little girl said, her voice as soft as a whisper. "We are at peace now." Sarah's heart swelled with emotion. "You deserve to be remembered, Lily. Your story will always be told." The child smiled, her spirit glowing brighter as she began to fade. "We will always be with you," she said, her laughter echoing in the breeze. In that moment, Sarah understood the profound connection between the living and the spirits. Love transcended time and space, intertwining their stories in an eternal embrace. As the last rays of sunlight dipped below the horizon, Sarah sat in the garden, enveloped in the warmth of the spirit's love. The darkness that had once shrouded Briarwood Manor had lifted, replaced by a vibrant tapestry of life, laughter, and remembrance. Together, they had created a sanctuary, a place where stories could be shared, spirits could find peace, and love would continue to shine brightly, illuminating the path for all those who sought solace in the shadows. And as Sarah looked up at the stars twinkling above, she knew that this was just the beginning of their journey, a journey filled with hope, connection, and the enduring power of remembrance. The garden would always stand as a testament to their love, a sanctuary for the forgotten, and a reminder that every story mattered. Sarah felt a sense of purpose swell within her, knowing that she was part of something greater, a legacy that would endure long after the shadows faded away. With renewed determination, she stood up, ready to embrace whatever the future held, knowing that together they would continue to illuminate the darkness, honoring the past while forging a brighter path ahead. And as the night deepened, she whispered a silent promise to the spirits surrounding her. "We will never forget you. Your stories will always be told." In that moment, she felt their presence enveloping her, a comforting embrace that would guide her as she continued her journey. A journey of love, remembrance, and the unbreakable bond between the living and the spirits that lingered on the edge of existence. As the seasons changed once more, Sarah carried the stories of Briarwood Manor in her heart, weaving them into the fabric of her life. Each encounter, each shared experience, became a thread in the tapestry of hope they had created together. One day, while preparing for the next storytelling Saturday, she received a call from a local school. They wanted to organize a field trip to Briarwood Manor, eager to learn about the history of the estate and the stories it held. Excitement bubbled within her as she thought about the opportunity to share the garden's message of love and remembrance with a new generation. "Absolutely," she replied, her voice filled with enthusiasm. "We would love to host your students." On the day of the visit, a group of eager children arrived, their eyes wide with curiosity. Sarah welcomed them with open arms, guiding them through the garden and sharing the stories of the spirits who had once walked the grounds. As she spoke, she could see the children captivated, their imaginations ignited by the tales of love, loss, and resilience. They laughed and gasped, their hearts open to the magic that surrounded them. When they reached the heart of the garden, Sarah encouraged them to share their thoughts and feelings. One little boy raised his hand, his face serious. "What happens to the spirits when we remember them?" Sarah smiled, her heart swelling with pride. "When we remember the spirits, we honor their lives. Our love keeps their stories alive, and they will always be a part of us." The children nodded, their understanding deepening as they realized the importance of remembrance. As the field trip concluded, the children planted small flowers in the garden, creating their own memories to leave behind. Sarah watched with joy as they laughed and played, their spirits intertwining with those of the forgotten. That evening, as the sun set behind the manor, Sarah sat quietly in the garden, reflecting on the day's events. She felt the presence of the spirits around her, their energy vibrant and alive. "Thank you for allowing us to share your stories," she whispered, her heart filled with gratitude. "You are never forgotten." Just then, a warm breeze swept through the garden, rustling the leaves and filling the air with laughter. Sarah closed her eyes, breathing in the sweet fragrance of the blooming flowers, feeling the love that radiated from the spirits. In that moment, she understood that the garden was not just a place of remembrance. It was a living testament to the power of connection and the enduring legacy of love. As she stood up to leave, she glanced back at the garden, its beauty illuminated by the fading sunlight. She knew that their journey was far from over. There were more stories to tell, more lives to honor, and more spirits waiting to be remembered. With a determined heart, Sarah stepped forward, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead, knowing that together they would continue to shine a light in the darkness. In the months that followed, the Briarwood Foundation expanded its outreach, partnering with local schools, community organizations, and mental health services to provide support and resources for those grappling with grief. Sarah found herself busier than ever, but her heart swelled with purpose as she watched the impact of their work ripple through the community. One day, while attending a local festival, Sarah encountered a man named Michael, who approached her with a solemn expression. "I heard about the work you're doing at Briarwood Manor," he said, his voice heavy. "I lost my brother last year, and I'm struggling to cope. I don't know how to move forward." Sarah's heart ached for him. "I'm so sorry for your loss," she replied, her voice gentle. "You don't have to go through this alone. We have support groups and resources available at the foundation. Would you like to join us?" Michael nodded, his eyes glistening with tears. "I'd like that." Over the next few weeks, Michael began attending the support group, slowly opening up about his feelings of grief and loss. With each meeting, he found solace in the shared experiences of others, the weight of his pain beginning to lift as he connected with those who understood. One evening, as they sat in the garden sharing stories, Michael spoke of his brother with a mix of sorrow and fondness. "He always had a smile on his face, even when times were tough," he recalled, his voice trembling. "I miss him so much." "Your brother's spirit is still with you," Sarah said softly. "Every time you share his story, you honor his memory. He lives on in your heart." Michael nodded, a flicker of hope lighting up his eyes. "Thank you for reminding me of that." As the months rolled on, the garden flourished, becoming a cherished sanctuary for healing and remembrance. Sarah felt a deep sense of fulfillment as she witnessed the transformation of countless individuals who had come to Briarwood Manor searching for solace. On one particularly crisp autumn day, the foundation held a harvest festival in the garden, inviting the community to celebrate the beauty of life and the importance of connection. The air was filled with laughter, the scent of baked goods wafting through the air, and the vibrant colors of the leaves provided a stunning backdrop. As the sun began to set, Sarah took to the stage, her heart swelling with gratitude for the journey that had brought them here. "Thank you all for joining us today," she began, her voice steady. "This garden stands as a testament to the power of love and remembrance. Together, we are weaving a tapestry of hope." The crowd erupted in applause, their faces beaming with warmth and support. Sarah felt the spirits surrounding her, their energy intertwining with the love that filled the air. After the speeches, they gathered for a moment of silence, honoring the spirits and those they had lost. In that silence, Sarah felt a deep connection with everyone present, a collective understanding that transcended words. As the festival continued, Sarah wandered through the garden, stopping to speak with attendees and share in their stories. Each conversation felt like a thread weaving them closer together, binding their hearts in a shared experience of love and loss. Later in the evening, as the stars twinkled above, Sarah sat on a bench, reflecting on the day. She felt the presence of the spirits around her, their energy vibrant and alive. "Thank you for allowing us to share your stories," she whispered, her heart filled with gratitude. "You are never forgotten." Just then, a warm breeze swept through the garden, rustling the leaves and filling the air with laughter. Sarah closed her eyes, breathing in the sweet fragrance of the blooming flowers, feeling the love that radiated from the spirits. In that moment, she understood that the garden was not just a place of remembrance. It was a living testament to the power of connection and the enduring legacy of love. As she stood up to leave, she glanced back at the garden, its beauty illuminated by the fading sunlight. She knew that their journey was far from over. There were more stories to tell, more lives to honor, and more spirits waiting to be remembered. With a determined heart, Sarah stepped forward, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead, knowing that together they would continue to shine a light in the darkness. As the years passed, Briarwood Manor became a beacon of hope, a place where stories were shared, spirits honored, and love prevailed. Sarah dedicated her life to the foundation, knowing that she was part of something greater than herself, a legacy of love that would endure long after the shadows faded away. And so, the stories of Briarwood Manor continued to unfold, weaving a rich tapestry of life, love, and remembrance, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the unbreakable bond between the living and the spirits that lingered on the edge of existence. As Sarah stood in the garden one evening, surrounded by the vibrant colors of the flowers, she closed her eyes, feeling the warmth of the spirits enveloping her. She whispered a silent promise, "We will never forget you. Your stories will always be told." With that, she opened her heart to the future, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead, knowing that love would always guide her path. The garden would remain a sanctuary, a living testament to the power of connection, the beauty of remembrance, and the enduring legacy of those who had come before. And as the stars twinkled above, illuminating the night sky, Sarah felt a sense of peace, knowing that the spirits would forever be a part of her journey. A journey filled with love, laughter, and the unbreakable bond of remembrance that transcended time and space. And so, the story of Briarwood Manor lived on, echoing through the hearts of those who had come to honor the spirits and share their tales. A reminder that every story mattered and that love would always shine brightly in the darkness. The seasons continued to change, each bringing new life and energy to Briarwood Manor and its vibrant garden. Sarah found herself more connected than ever to the spirits that lingered among the blooming flowers and whispering trees. The stories shared at the foundation blossomed into a rich tapestry of hope, healing, and unity, drawing people from far and wide. One particularly chilly winter evening, as snowflakes began to gently blanket the garden, Sarah decided to host a special gathering, a winter solstice celebration. She wanted to honor the spirits and the community that had come together to create a sanctuary of love and remembrance. As guests arrived, bundled in cozy scarves and hats, Sarah welcomed them with open arms, her heart brimming with gratitude. The garden sparkled under the soft glow of fairy lights strung through the trees, casting a warm glow over the gathering. "I'm so glad you're all here tonight," Sarah began, her voice filled with warmth. "This evening, we come together not just to celebrate the winter solstice, but to honor the spirits who have guided us throughout our journey. They have taught us the importance of love, connection, and remembering those we have lost." The crowd nodded, their faces illuminated by the twinkling lights and the glow of candles that flickered in the gentle breeze. Together, they shared stories of the past year, of the loved ones they had lost and the memories that brought them joy. As the evening progressed, Sarah led everyone in a lantern lighting ceremony, encouraging each person to write a message to their loved ones on a piece of paper and attach it to a lantern. "One by one, we'll release our lanterns into the night sky," she explained, her heart racing with anticipation. "As they float away, we'll send our love and memories to those we hold dear, reminding them that they are never forgotten." With each lantern that rose into the air, the crowd erupted in cheers, their voices mingling with the sound of laughter and the soft rustling of leaves. The lanterns glowed like stars, dancing in the dark, each carrying a piece of love and remembrance. As Sarah watched the lanterns drift higher, she felt the presence of the spirits surrounding her, their energy intermingling with the joy of the evening. In that moment, she understood the true essence of what they had created. A community bound by love, resilience, and the unbreakable connection between the living and the spirits. Later in the evening, Sarah gathered everyone around a fire pit, where they roasted marshmallows and shared stories under the starry sky. The warmth of the flames flickered against the cold air, creating a cozy atmosphere filled with laughter and connection. One young woman named Emma spoke up, her eyes bright with emotion. "I lost my grandmother last year, and I never got to say goodbye," she shared, her voice trembling. "But being here tonight, I feel her presence. It's like she's with us, celebrating too." Tears welled in Sarah's eyes as she nodded in understanding. "Your grandmother is here with us, Emma. Every time you share her story, you keep her spirit alive. As the night wore on, the fire crackled, and the stories flowed freely, each one a reminder of the beauty of life and the love that transcended loss. The spirits felt alive in the hearts of those who gathered, their laughter echoing through the night. When the final story was shared, Sarah stood up, her heart full. "Thank you all for being here tonight," she said, her voice steady. "Together, we have created a legacy of love, a sanctuary where stories can be told, spirits honored, and connections forged. May we continue to carry this light into the world and honor those we have lost." As the guests began to depart, Sarah felt a sense of peace wash over her. The garden, now filled with the warmth of love and connection, had become a living testament to the power of remembrance. In the weeks that followed, Sarah continued to nurture the garden, planting new flowers and creating spaces for reflection and connection. Each bloom seemed to flourish under her care, a vibrant reminder of the love that had been cultivated there. One crisp morning, as Sarah tended to the garden, she noticed a figure standing at the edge of the path. It was Lily, the little girl who had once wandered the grounds, her spirit shining with joy. "Thank you for everything, Sarah," Lily said, her voice a soft melody carried by the wind. "Because of you, we are remembered. Our stories will always be told." Sarah knelt down, tears streaming down her cheeks. "You have no idea how much you and the other spirits have taught me, Lily. I am forever grateful for your presence." As the little girl began to fade, she smiled brightly. "We will always be with you. Your love keeps our stories alive." In that moment, Sarah felt a surge of warmth enveloping her, a comforting embrace from the spirits that had become her guiding light. She knew that this was not an end, but a beautiful beginning, a journey that would continue to evolve and flourish. As the years rolled on, the garden at Briarwood Manor became a place of healing, a sanctuary where stories were shared, connections were made, and love thrived. Sarah's heart was forever intertwined with the spirits she had come to know so intimately, their lives etched into the very fabric of her being. One evening, as Sarah sat on a bench, watching the sun dip below the horizon, she reflected on the legacy they had built together. It was a legacy rooted in love, resilience, and the profound understanding that every story mattered. She closed her eyes and whispered a silent promise to the spirits. "We will never forget you. Your stories will always be told." And as the stars began to twinkle above, she felt their presence wrapping around her like a warm blanket, a gentle reminder that they were never truly gone. Together, they would continue to shine a light in the darkness, illuminating the path for those who sought solace in the garden of love and remembrance. In the heart of Briarwood Manor, the spirits danced among the flowers, their laughter echoing through the night, a testament to the enduring power of connection and the unbreakable bond that transcended time and space. The stories would continue to flow, weaving a rich tapestry of life, love, and the beautiful legacy of those who had come before. A legacy that would forever remain in the hearts of those who cherished the memories and the love that endured beyond the shadows.